Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, listened by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. As always, Joe, we start off with, how are you doing? What's the news, dude?
Doing all right. Schedule becomes a lot more free at this time of year to dig into the Reds game. It's a shame that they cannot get the job done in the way we would have liked, so I'm sure we'll talk all about it.
Oh, yeah, it was a weird week, to say the least. So, Joe takes us into it here. We're going to be discussing some more injury updates. Obviously, we'll go over the games this past week. We're going to talk a little Alexis, Diaz, Austin Hayes, and Spencer Steer. And then we've got to discuss the Braves and the Astros. Before that, Joe, we're going to hop into the question of the day. Which is going to be, do you think Alexis Diaz is ever coming back to the Cincinnati Reds? He has been sent down. We'll discuss that. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let's hop into our quick recap here. We'll start off with the mother ever-loving Cardinals. The Reds would start off with a 3-1 victory. Nick Martinez would continue to find his way. He'd give up a run in the first inning, but that would be it. He'd go 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, and only the 1 earned run. Jose Trevino would have a big home run. Noelvi Marte with his first triple of the year. Ellie De La Cruz and Lux with some big hits. The bullpen would lock it down. Graham Ashcraft came in, 3 strikeouts in 1 inning. He is looking electric, to say the least. And Emilio Pagan would get his 8th save of the year. The Tuesday game would get rained out, Joe, which was a big bummer, and the Reds would have to play what I would call probably one of the worst doubleheaders I've ever seen from them. They looked like they were sleepwalking their way through it. Miles Mikolas, who had been having a pretty rough season, held them to 3 hits with 4 strikeouts and 5 1/3 innings. The Reds would get a little bit of action going at one point, and that would force them out of the game, but that would be it. They wouldn't get another hit for the rest of the game. They'd only get on base 2 more times with a walk. Brady Singer was excellent once again, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run on the home run, 4 Ks, 3 walks, but Alexis Diaz would come in. The game was close. Joe, was a 1-0 affair heading into the 9th inning, and Alexis Diaz would ultimately give up 5 earned runs, including 3 home runs, no strikeouts, a walk, 4 hits. It was a disaster, to say the least. The Reds had to leave him out there because then they had the doubleheader, 9-1 loss. Bryce Petty would be called up for his major league debut, and it was a debut to forget, unfortunately for him. 7 hits, 9 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings, 2 home runs given up, 2 walks, 3 Ks. He struggled, to say the least. He would let guys get on base, give up the home runs. They said he challenged hitters. You could tell, but then he would get a little bit nervous. He missed out on some really big opportunities. The bullpen would come in and shut it down, though. Brent Suter would continue to do what he's doing. 1.26 ERA, Joe. 3 2/3 innings, 1 hit given up, 2 Ks. And Lyon Richardson as well. Another time called up, but 3 innings pitched, 2 Ks, no earned runs. Steven Matz would keep the Reds in check for the most part. But then they'd head into the Thursday game. I believe this was, the Thursday game, and you would think the Reds would respond. They did. Andrew Abbott would go out. Wouldn't pitch as deep into the game. He was having a bit of a problem with his pitch count, Joe. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 unearned run given up, 4 walks, though, 3 strikeouts. Not his usual, but the bats would be big. Jose Trevino with a home run, Spencer Steer with a home run. Graham Ashcraft again would come in. 3 innings pitched, 4 Ks. At this point, a .57 ERA, and we would instead turn the calendar over to May for our first game of May. Luis May, it's going to be May. 1 strikeout in 1 innings pitched. Really good to see him. They got to Matt Liberatore, who's been one of their best pitchers early on. It was that 2-2 split, Joe, that I was talking about last week. That's what I was afraid of. This freaking team consistently continues to be a thorn in the Cincinnati Reds side. I can't stand them. I'm tired of them. I don't understand it. It was a weird week, or at least a weird 4-game set.
Definitely, and it seemed like in the middle of the series, especially games that we probably should have won, it was both hitting and pitching that just failed
Hmm.
us at that point. We know obviously lost the one game 6-0. We lost the other 9-1. It is a full team failure. There are injuries. There are a lot of games being played before our next off day, which I believe is next week. It is a not so great time of the year for this team overall, and especially because this is a team, the Cardinals specifically. We'll talk about the Nationals next, but 2-2 split's fine against the Cardinals, especially given our history, but I think we're going to look back at the end of the season and be like, man, it would have been nice to take 3. It would have been nice if we could have, held them close and not had Alexis Diaz just blow it in the end. So that is, I think, the biggest thing is I think there's still a little bit of mental hurdle getting over playing the Cardinals, a little bit of mental hurdle of this team having to fight through adversity. We saw in this game, in the series specifically, Andrew Abbott only able to go 4 innings because of the rain delay. And then you have the bullpen gets taxed. We've already had the bullpen taxed because of the total number of games. And then there have been good moments where guys have eaten innings, but there have been some times where, Alexis Diaz gets sent down now, and it's like, that's probably the move. But I think our bullpen is going to continue to be taxed for this next week or so.
Well, and it's interesting because it's like the bullpen was the least used bullpen, I believe, heading into maybe last week at least. So, they're finally kind of getting their feet wet. I mean, it felt like we would go a month without seeing Brent Suter, and we saw him multiple times over the last couple of weeks coming in to kind of hold games down. Really love seeing him do his work, but yeah, I mean, you go 1-0 into the ninth inning, and you think, all right, like if Diaz can just hold him to 1, maybe even give up that second run, whatever, that's fine. Like this team maybe has the ability to come back. The other thing that we didn't mention is that Austin Hayes goes down after game 1, pulled a hammy, trying to score, or did score from, I believe it was from first. So it was a bit of a bummer. He said he felt mostly fine, but they are not playing games with him whatsoever. They threw his butt on the IL, Joe, and they were like, we're not even going to worry about it. So I really think that it was partially a mental hurdle. I mean, you go in with a doubleheader, you have an opportunity. They're going to struggle with the same thing. Rain was a problem this week, but it's not just an us problem. It's a them problem too. And the Reds could not take advantage of that. I mean, I love that they got at least 2 in a weird week and one where it is a mental hurdle for them. I think the one good thing I will say is that, we are consistently weeding out players. Right, Joe? Who is going to help us this year? If you're not going to be that person, you're going to have your opportunities, right? Alexis Diaz, they gave him opportunities. And this was just a culmination of, this was more than a straw broke the camel's back. It was a full hay barrel of 5 runs in the ninth inning that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, I mentioned it last week. Tito does a really good job of giving guys, like, a month or a couple weeks to figure it out. He's a player's manager, but he will hold you accountable in the end. Last year we saw players get a million chances. This year they're not going to get a million. They might get half a million, but I think he does a good job of like, okay, Diaz, you come back, you get a couple weeks, it's not working, you're gone. Jamer, especially once we start getting healthier, hey man, like, it wasn't working, you're gone. Kirsten Encarnacion Strand, same thing. Injuries are popping up too. We don't know how many are legitimate, how many aren't, how many are just, we're going to put them on the IL. So it's going to keep on happening too. I think we're going to talk about it more when we talk about Austin Hayes and his absence, but there are other people who are not performing that I think will be held accountable. They're going to find ways to do it too. And I think it's also nice for him to note that like the guys who do well, it's not just him sending guys down, but he'll give guys bigger chances if they do well. He'll go, I think he mentioned that he's been texting guys if they eat innings and he knows like that's helpful to the team. He texts them and says, hey, like, you ate innings yesterday, we won today because of you, because we didn't have to have a tax bullpen. So it is refreshing to see, and we still need to make some strides. And like I said earlier, I think this team does need to learn how to handle adversity better. It's not like we're having too many comeback wins either. So like Alexis Diaz gives up all those runs, and it's like even still, it's like I don't know if they would have come back anyway, just because they don't really have that DNA in them quite yet, like they did 2 years ago when they went on that run. So we will see if they kind of develop that and get a little bit more consistent once guys continue to get healthier and get back. But I would love to see that here soon.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be really important for them to make that happen. Again, a 2-2 split is not the end of the world. It's not. But it is. If they had not won that Thursday game, Joe, I was going to be very upset, to say the least. Yeah. All right. Let's head into the National Series. The Reds would start off on Friday. Dude, they play in those black jerseys so well. Those City Connect jerseys, they should play in them every freaking game, it feels like, because they seemingly win on Fridays, and in those black jerseys, almost every single game. Your boy Santiago Espinal had a great game, and it was the return of Tyler Stevenson. 2 big doubles for him and his first at-bats to help the Reds get on top. And then Hunter Green, yet again, man. You worry. He had, a couple games here and there that you're like, oh, okay, like, is he starting to regress at all? And he comes back out, 6 innings pitched. Yeah, he threw a little bit more pitches than I think he would have liked. I really believe he would have liked to go to the 7th inning. And what I mean by that is, yes, I know he ended up throwing over 100 pitches, but, he had an almost 9-inning game where he was going into the 9th inning with like 89 pitches or whatever. So he was not as pitch efficient overall, even outside of the 100 pitches that they really stretched him to. I love that they kept showing Terry the entire time, freaking out. Tito's sitting there like, oh my God, like, please just get this last, get Keibert Ruiz out, please. But he was awesome, man. 6 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks, only the 1 home run given up. He's turning into Andrew Abbott with the solo home runs being his kryptonite. Scott Barlow has really settled down. Joe, he did a great job. Tony Santiago got himself in a little trouble, got himself out. And Emilio Pagan, not in a safe situation, but hadn't pitched in a couple days. Tito gets him some good work, 3 strikeouts, locks down another Reds win. I am officially off of the I'm mad at Emilio Pagan train. I was a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to make it very clear now that this man has changed his... he's changed the way he's doing things. I'll explain it later if you'd like for me to. But
all right. I think that means that he's going to change. Now he's going to start doing bad, and now it's going to flip. All right. Well, I was happy where we were at with you still hating Pagan and him doing well, but all right, we'll see how it goes. You jinxed it.
I hope not. Oh gosh, if I have enough importance to be jinxing situations like that, we are in serious trouble. The Reds would lose a slugfest here. Tyler Callahan would get his first hit and RBI of his career. Congratulations to him. Jake Fraley would hit an absolute shot, his 3rd of the year. He's starting to figure out his power. I think it's mostly because they're putting him in better situations, Joe. Gavin Lux would hustle for his first triple. Lodolo would struggle, and it was mostly just in that last inning, Joe. He had pitched pretty well, like not his best, but 3 runs given up. Through 5, they let him go a little bit longer because he's shown the ability to do that, and ultimately would end up giving up a 3-run home run to Ahmed Rosario, and they couldn't get him out of there fast enough. He'd give up another one. Next thing you knew, it was 7-3, and the Reds would have to try to claw their way back. They would get within striking distance, but Brent Suter, Yosefer Zulueta, and Luis May could not hold it down. The Reds would ultimately give up 11 runs. But 3 strikeouts for Luis May is pretty good to see. We'll see if he can figure it out. But it was ultimately a 11-6 loss. You head into a rainy Sunday, Joe. It's been raining all week. And you think, okay, this team's going to figure it out. They give up a run. They respond with a Tyler Stevenson, his first home run of the season. Nick Martinez was excellent. 6 strikeouts, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, only the 1 earned run, but it would be Graham Ashcraft's turn to give up 3 runs and not even an inning of work here. Still only a 2.2 ERA, by the way, but Reds could not figure Mackenzie Gore out, even while he's slipping on the mound. 9 strikeouts for the strikeout leader in Major League Baseball, and given the Nationals credit, their bullpen held it down. You really thought they might be able to find their way to it, but the Reds just seemingly can't overcome the rain delays, all that kind of stuff, and they dropped 2 of 3 here to the Nationals. This Nationals team is not terrible, but they are not good enough to where you should be anything other than upset about dropping 2 of 3.
Yeah, especially at home. This was a very important week on the schedule. We're going to look back and I think be very mad about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said a couple weeks ago, you mentioned initially that May was easy. I mentioned that this next week we're going to have against Atlanta and Houston is going to be tough just because they do have a lot of talent still, and we're going to talk about this series. But this was the part of the schedule specifically ever since we played the Orioles. Even the Orioles, we found out, are like even worse than we thought. So like starting with the Orioles all the way down to the Marlins, Rockies, Cardinals, Nationals was where we really need to make up ground and probably be a couple more games above 500, and we didn't do that. So that's very frustrating. Very alike to last year when we got to May, where things started to fall apart. We were actually pretty solid up until May. And there's some good teams. Like I said, this week is tough. We have the Cubs twice later this month, so it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. We've played the second easiest schedule only to the Red Sox this season, and the Cubs have played, I think, one of the toughest schedules. So it's like we talked about it before the season. If we're going to make the playoffs, it's probably more likely through the division. The Cubs are kind of handling business, even with their injuries. Justin Steele's injured, and Imanaga just got injured yesterday, so maybe there's some hope. But I still think that like you have to take care of your business here to really get that. So that's frustrating. I think that the rain definitely played a factor. Our bullpen maybe just not being perfect has played a factor as well. And then Austin Hayes being out of the lineup. Just that takes so much out of the lineup, and we're seeing guys like Dunn get more at bats. And I don't think he's done as bad as everyone's making out to be on social media. He still has a 353 on base percentage, which is better than some other guys who are hitting 100 points higher than him, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, he's not hitting lefties like he should. We've played a lot of lefties this week. I think 4 starting pitchers were lefties. And we won some of those games too, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it we were doing damage in the late innings too. And I think that really does, we have Blake Dunn in there to hit lefties. He's hitting 171 against lefties, and it's just like, that's what you're supposed to do. So there's a lot to be kind of dissected with this week. And like I said, I think when we look back, it's going to be like, hey, we should have had 5 out of 7 wins. We should have had at least 4 out of 7 wins. 3 out of 7 wins this week is not going to be good enough if we want to make the playoffs, and that's just, how it's got to be. My hope is last year David Bell kind of let it spiral. This year I'm hoping Tito is going to be able to keep everyone accountable, keep changing the lineup up, and hopefully some of these guys start getting hot. We're seeing Spencer Steer get hot, Rob. Matt McClain still kind of, but not really, still kind of middling. So we need things to get better fast, and hopefully Austin Hayes coming back soon will help that too.
Yeah, I mean, what's really frustrating for me, Joe, is, we're 9-10 at home. Like, you can't be losing games at home. Even the Cardinals, who are 16-19, to be clear. We have given them 2 of their 4 wins on the road this season, Joe. They are 12-6 at home. You got to take care of business at home, period. Like, it's just, the ballpark better than anybody. You play in it all the time. You have your fans behind you. You got to win at home. I mean, I can't even be blamed this year. I'm 1-0 at home. So, it's not a me problem this year, at least, so far. They're still only a game and a half behind. Like, they're not in a dire position. They're in second place. They're 18-17. Milwaukee's been playing a little bit better lately, so you got to kind of keep that in mind. The Reds have had generally a pretty easy schedule because they haven't had to do much out west yet. When you start getting to the Dodgers, when you start getting to the Padres, luckily those teams are starting to struggle a little bit on their own, so maybe we'll catch them during that time period. But this Reds team needs to be better about taking care of business, Joe, and I think that's where they were doing that. Literally one of the, I think, titles of one of these episodes is taking care of business, because they were doing it. But this week wasn't great. Losing 2 of 3 to the Marlins was not really that inspiring for me personally. Like, they're not a bad team, and when the cogs are going, this team, like, this could be one of the at least 8 best teams in baseball if everybody is playing decently even, I would say. When your starting pitching is going well. I read an article, I think it was Buster Olney wrote it, where he was like, yeah, I don't know that this is a playoff bullpen. I completely disagree. I think that they're probably one really true closer away from being great, but they're a solid bullpen. They just don't have any really big name guys, right? So I don't know. I'm not like worried about them yet. Like, the panic button may be back on the table, Joe, especially depending on how this week is going to go. I had taken it off, so maybe I got too comfortable, with this team and the way they were doing things. But I really do believe that they're going to be okay. We'll talk about it here in a second, but you can't have one player going down in your lineup be the catalyst for the entire lineup falling apart. Especially when you got people like Gavin Lux, who are hitting as well as he is, when you have they have like the best catcher trio that I think I've ever seen, maybe. Like, how often is your third catcher a guy who you're worried about not getting more playing time? You know, like, that's just a wild thing to me. So it was a weird week, but you got any final thoughts on it before I go into injury updates?
Yeah, it's definitely apparent that they need to get another bullpen arm, especially with Diaz not working out. And then and probably a back-end bullpen arm. Pagan's doing fine. I just don't think he necessarily has the greatest stuff
I agree.
be a closer in the league. Be very helpful for the bullpen if we did have that. And then just another bat. Like, it's you can't have Austin Hayes get hurt and then everything fall apart. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But it's not even when everyone's hurt. When everyone's healthy, too, I feel like they really are just one batter away. Maybe that's a guy who plays right field and takes over for Jake Fraley. You know, maybe it's a guy who's a right-handed hitter who takes over for Gavin Lux against left-handed pitching because he's batting .091 against left-handed pitching this year. Like, I don't know what it is, but they feel like they need one more thing, which is crazy to say because, as you just said, Rob, the catchers are the best in baseball collectively. Even with Stevenson coming back, having a couple doubles and a home run is crazy.
He looks great.
So they definitely need like that one more bat, and it's going to have to be so like, hey, Matt McClain, if you're not hitting, you move down in the order. This guy's moving up. Whoever it is, we end up getting Jake Fraley. You're not hitting. This guy's playing right field today. You know, Gavin Lux, you're not playing against lefties anymore. That type of thing. It's going to have to be kind of cutthroat, and I'm excited for that, to be honest, because I think there's the offense has been good this year, but there's just a little bit more inconsistency that we saw this week, especially in the middle of the week.
Yeah, no, big time. And I mean, we even saw Marte come back down to earth. He wasn't terrible, but he's still hitting. What's really frustrating for me, Joe, and I'll say this last point real quick, is like some of these guys, like Matt McClain is actually hitting the ball pretty hard. It's just going right at people right now. Like, he has finally stopped striking out every time or grounding out, on little dinkers. Like, he probably had like 5 or 6 balls this week where he smoked it and it just went right at somebody. So I think he's getting close to being back to it. We've seen Spencer Steerwood talk about that. Gavin Lux looked the worst I've ever seen him yesterday, so far at least, in his Reds tenure. I don't know if I would say that he's hit lefties, I think, most of the season. I could be wrong on that, Joe, but really...
.091 against lefties this year.
Wow. Wait, is that what you were... Sorry, I totally missed that. I was doing a quick calculation. Is it really that bad yet? Yeah, it is. 2 for 22.
He's thrown some walks, I think, but,
Now, 12 of his strikeouts are from that, and that's, 12 of his 31. So, yeah, it is pretty bad. Maybe you're right on that one. I'd rather it be TJ Friedel, if we're being honest. He's still, I think, been okay at hitting lefties this year. Let's check on that, too, before I give false information. Let's see, splits. 235. It's not bad. I would take that. I mean, he's having an outstanding season, by the way. I love that they gave him a little break. He's struggled a little bit lately, but God bless. He has been very important for this team. All right, let's get into some injury updates. Wade Miley, we got an injury update. He did get hurt again slightly, but they said it wasn't too bad. They're still looking at the middle of the summer from what the injury update was yesterday, Joe. Rhett Lauder, they are taking their time, is what they said on the broadcast. To me, they are taking their time because they don't want him in AAA, and they're just waiting for the first starting pitcher injury to bring him back up. That's kind of where I'm at with it. They said he's getting some work down in Arizona. They've been saying that for like 3 weeks. So unless if he's way more injured than we think and they're just lying, I really do believe that they're just not wanting to risk it in AAA games, and they're just maybe getting him some work. He'll go up once it looks like maybe somebody could be tiring out or getting hurt. I don't really know. Maybe then they move Martinez back to the bullpen, Joe, because you can't realistically move any of the other 4 guys right now. That's for sure. We did get Stevenson back this week, which I think is going to be a huge boost. The fact that he already has, 3 extra base hits is, I think, huge for this team, honestly. Trevino's been awesome. Hayes has been awesome. Hayes has already started to come back down to earth. Trevino's still hitting, I think, way better than he has maybe ever in his career. The way he's been hitting this year, genuinely, if he was still playing up to the All-Star break, I think there's a shot he could have made the All-Star game, to be honest, for the second time in his career, the way that he's been playing this year. But Austin Hayes, they did end up putting, like we said, on the 10-day DL. Hamstring is what they called it. They said it was potentially from the calf injury. They put it back to April 29th for 10 days. So they are targeting Friday of this week, Joe. So just a couple more days. Basically, just got to get through this Atlanta series without him, which is unfortunate because I think we're facing at least 2 lefties. I know Sale for sure, and then I can't remember the other 2 guys because I'm pretty sure Grant Holmes is a righty. But either way, it would be nice to have him back. And then Ian Jabot is on his way back as well. I think he should be doing some AAA rehab games here soon as well. Big news, though, for the bullpen and probably for the Reds as a whole is Alexis Diaz was sent down. Now, Joe, what's weird is that Diaz wasn't terrible last year, but it felt like he was. I don't know if you feel the same way. That is maybe, I don't know, just kind of the way that I have felt about him. It was a struggle to watch him pitch last year. It felt like, oh man, who would I say that it felt like? It felt like maybe, oh gosh, what's his name? Coco Cordero. It just felt like he was constantly in trouble. Coco would always get through it. I mean, he's one of the better closers, of all time, statistically at least in terms of saves. But it's like, I don't know. I couldn't really watch it. Like, he had a 3.99 ERA. That's not something that you really want, but it wasn't a huge jump necessarily from the year prior. Only 1 point. He was 28 of 32 saves. He wasn't terrible last year. Just his swing and miss stuff, I think, was the real big issue for me, Joe. Almost 31 less strikeouts. His batting average against jumped 20 points. That's a much bigger deal. His WHIP jumped 11 points. He was getting more fly balls than ground outs again. And this year he just clearly didn't have it. 8 earned runs in 12 innings pitched, 4 home runs, including the big 3-1. I don't think he's terrible, but I will be honest with you, I just think that I don't think Tito liked him very much. It did not, like, the fact that he didn't insert him back into the closer role, to me felt like Tito just had no confidence in this guy. He saw what we saw last year, and I think his dip in average velocity, I think, is one of the big reasons why. You can get away with throwing wild at 96, 97, but throwing 92, 91, 92, that's just not going to get it done. You're not convincing people as much to make those swings and misses as he had in the 2022 and 2023 seasons. So, bit of a bummer, but he's down in AAA now, and he's either going to figure it out or he's not going to be on this team anymore.
Yeah, I thought he was bad last year, to be honest, and I thought that this was just a continuation of it. And there's obviously the injuries. You want to play delicately with them. Big fan of Terry taking in what he did last season into account. I think he's kind of doing that with Will Benson too. Of like, hey, you really better prove it before we're going to really trust you. And obviously Will Benson's still hitting home runs at AAA, but
yeah.
this was, I think it was more. This is just holding accountable and like, hey, you're going to come back. You can earn the closer spot back. It seemed like the door was open for that if he pitched lights out, but he didn't. He clearly isn't the same pitcher. The velocity's down. The stuff isn't as good either. And I kind of think that it's probably going to be the end for him, to kind of answer the question of the day here, Rob. You have to, if you're going to go down to AAA, you almost have to reinvent yourself as a pitcher. For him to do that, it's going to take a lot because he clearly doesn't have the velocity. He's never had the control. He's going to have to work on that a lot to get to the point. So am I going to rule out him being up with the Reds the rest of the season? No. Do I think he's ever going to be like he was 2 years ago? Probably not, the way things are looking. So, I think this was a good move that had to happen. I'm glad they gave him a chance to kind of re-earn the spot, but it just wasn't working out. And now, after he's been sent down, everyone with a negative WAR on our team is either injured or in AAA. So we are leaning into the WAR stat, which again lies sometimes, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, with my boy Santiago Espinal being awesome and everything. But
yeah.
I think that was kind of the focus. It's like, if you are costing the team, you are not going to play this year. And there are plenty of guys, CES, Diaz, whoever, even with injury, even Ian Jabot, my guy, minus 0.1 WAR, and then the injury and everything. Like, you're just not going to play on this team if you're going to cost the team wins. And I really do appreciate that after the things we had to go through the last couple seasons, to be honest. So I don't think he'll be back, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the biggest thing here is that, like, yes, he, had given up 3 runs in Miami. He gave up 5 runs in St. Louis. They weren't using him very much. I mean, it was like 4 and 5 days in between each one. 4 of his 6 outings, he gave up 0 runs. But the biggest thing for me, Joe, the strikeout numbers. 3 strikeouts in 12 innings is bad. If you are a strikeout pitcher, right, you may have a bad game or 2 in 6. That happens. But I think that it's the overall encompassing thing that it was like it just wasn't working. And then I think what we saw in St. Louis was that he's basically throwing BP, higher level BP to these guys. And it's sad because I would love to see him succeed. Like, how much he probably had to get through to get here, right? I've been watching that Red Sox documentary. It's very obvious that, like, especially for these guys not in the United States, like, you got to kind of give up everything to get here. So I never want to see any of them fail. But, like, this man's going to have to go down there and I think really work on himself. And I think he's going to have to figure out, like, he might be a guy we see in a year or 2 that's given another chance, but he's going to have to, bust it for this. Like, you can't lose 5 miles an hour over a 2-year span at his age. It's not like he's an old man. I mean, he's only 28. Like, this should be when he's entering his prime. So to me, that means maybe he's, like, working out, or he's not working out, like, literally not physically, like, working out, or maybe he's lost confidence in his delivery. Like, this guy was nasty for 2 years. There's no way that he should have this big of a drop-off without it being something mental and mechanical, is the way that I see it. So I think that he's going to have to... I think he's going to have to really work on himself. I think he's going to need to reflect while he's down there in AAA. He has the stuff to be a great back part of your bullpen. But if you can't ever throw strikes, like, not just... You got to be picky and choosy a little bit, or if you're going to be wild, he's got to have, like I said, that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He's got good stuff. He's just going to have to work on it, I think.
Yeah, he's 3rd worst on the team, 2.17 whip. The only 2 people worse than him are Sam Moll and Chase Petty. So at 2.17, he is well above what would be considered average for a reliever, and we have so many guys who are not pitching well who have way better whips, so he's just not fooling anyone. And that's, he used to have the velocity card. He doesn't have that anymore, so that's where we're at with it, is just he's going to have a lot to prove, and hopefully... they're taking time with Rhett Lauder, and I agree with that. You mentioned that, Rob. Hopefully they let him take his time, and like, maybe it's 2-3 months before we see him up with the Reds again. Hopefully injuries don't happen and we can stay healthy, and that's maybe the reason why, but I hope he can really focus on this, see if he can get his velocity up, because that's what he was good at, was the velocity and the stuff. And if he can work on the control while he's at it, that'd be great too.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're going to move on to Austin Hayes. And I'm going to give you some stats here, Joe. Now, Austin Hayes has missed the majority of the season, right? We are 35 games in, and he's played in 13 of them. The Reds are 8-5 with Austin Hayes in the lineup. That is good for a 100-win pace, should he have been playing from the beginning. They are averaging 7 runs per game with him, which is one of the best in baseball. But even if you take out that 24, run game, right? If you just completely take that out, they're still averaging 5.3 runs per game, which is pretty solid overall, to say the least. He is, I think, such an important cog in this wheel, but he can't be the cog in the wheel, right? He cannot be the one that makes all the other pieces actually function, right? Like, I don't really understand why this lineup can't seemingly perform without him. I worry a little bit about Ellie. I'm not gonna crap on Ellie. Ellie is a good baseball player, and I think he is starting to kind of figure it out. We shouldn't have to, I think, rely on just solely him at times as well to kind of get this offense rolling. But he's not hitting for power, really, Joe. Like, he has really kind of changed to where he's not hitting for much power. And I'm not going to have another freaking Joey Votto discussion either, like, we used to get with Mr. Marty Brenneman all the time, where it was like, oh, he's supposed to be hitting for power and he's not. I'm not saying that with Ellie. But we're not scoring runs. We're not getting things done. Ellie's batting 3rd right now, but it feels like he's only really hitting for some power semi-consistently at different points. And it feels like without Austin Hayes, there's no power in this lineup right now. I don't know. I'm concerned. I don't understand why this team can seemingly not hit for power specifically without him. I'm hoping maybe Stevenson is an answer. Like we saw, like I said, 3 extra base hits from him, but...
Yeah, we rank near the middle of the league in home runs, but it's very odd because we have no one with 5. No one has more than 5. Ellie has 5. Austin Hayes has 5, and that's incredible for how little Austin has played this year, to be honest. But
which is insane.
That's the big thing, I think. I think it's the power numbers are down. We are trying to win baseball like the old days. A lot of your other teams out there hitting a bunch of home runs. I mean, Cal Raleigh leads the league with 13 right now, and Aaron Judge right behind him, right? So that we are playing a different game, and even though our averages are up this year, we're still losing. And I think it's just because we don't have that power bat. McLean has 4 home runs, but like he's been in and out of the lineup obviously too.
Well, he hasn't hit one since he's come back. Maybe he's had 1 since he's come back. I think
1. Yeah. But he also just left. Like I said earlier, left-handed pitching is going to get to us. We have a lineup where we can't capitalize on that all the time. And for whatever reason, we do have some good right-handed hitters, I think. Maybe Stevenson being back will help, too, with this, and Hayes getting back will help with it. Like I said, if you have your options of Gavin Lux or Blake Dunn as your last roster spot, you're just throwing away in a bat almost. Like, it's not great. Maybe they can improve. You know, I think Blake Dunn, 171 or whatever, batting average against lefties, that can improve for sure. With more bats, but maybe Gavin Lux too. He's hit better against lefties in his career. I think he's 190 something in his career as well against lefties. But it's a 2-pronged thing where there's no power in the lineup if that happens. Because again, Ellie has lost power, and I'm not too upset with that. I want him to figure out how to hit for average too. But
yeah,
and also we just can't hit the lefties. So this week I think was tough for that reason. Like I said, we had 4 lefty starters. Rob looked it up earlier. We only faced 1 lefty this week as a projected starting pitcher in Chris Sale. So that should help. But getting Austin Hayes back would help a whole lot more. And that's why I say we might need just one more bat too. It's just, this team is apparently they have apparent talent. You can see that they have guys who are hitting the ball better than last year. If you can get one more power bat in this lineup to kind of help push things over the edge, to help protect Ellie and the rest of the guys in this lineup, it really does become a roster where you're like, they could actually make the playoffs. They could win a series in the playoffs. And along with maybe a bullpen pitcher too. I'm not gonna rule that out too. I agree. The bullpen is I think overachieved in the first month of the season. I'm not sure that they're really a top 5 to 10 bullpen in baseball, to be honest. But if you do those 2 things, just one piece on each side, hitter, pitcher, it really does get dangerous, and I do think he's that important for right now because we just don't have those guys who are going to capitalize. We don't have the power hitters, and maybe it is the time for a conversation. As much as like I want guys to prove it, like maybe Will Benson being called up just to provide some power. He doesn't help the left-handed problem very much, but he would give us some more power against righties. Maybe that's something we need to start talking about because it'd be nice to have more. I wouldn't say like we're in desperate need of more home runs as a team, but there are times where it's like, I feel like we could have a little bit more power, even like hitting one to the wall and getting a guy to sack fly in. That'd be great. And I don't think we've had that very much. So very impressed with this team and their average, and their approach is much better than last year. There's still some frustrating things, and I think this is just one of them, is just that we, for some reason, in a ballpark that should have a lot of home runs, have not had a lot of home runs in comparison to what we maybe should have talent-wise. So we'll see if it levels out.
What's really weird is that, like, we have 37 home runs. It puts us smack dab, like, right in the middle-ish. Like, if you take out, if you put in all the combination of people, like, because there are a lot of teams that are basically, like, within that same range that we are right now. The Detroit Tigers are 5th, and they have 10 more home runs than us. I was thinking about it, I was like, man, do we have a lot of doubles? We have 54 doubles. Like, we're not, like, our slugging percentage, it's not terrible. It's just, it feels like there should be a little bit more. And maybe we're just being, like, I don't know, maybe we're being a little too ambitious in our goals for this team. But at the same time, you look at things and it's like, dude, like, this team is deep in terms of, like, almost every single player, Joe, that has played at least 3 games other than Santiago Espinal and Jacob Hurtubise has a home run this year, right? And it's like, Stevenson coming back, all 3 of his, hits have been for extra bases. He's 3 for 10, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks. Like, he's providing already really solid at-bats. Like, Friedel hasn't hit for much power necessarily home run-wise, and neither is Gavin Lux, like you said, but, like, they're still hitting pretty well overall. Like, it's just that it's a weird team. You know, and I don't really know exactly how else to describe it. I mean, Austin Wynns is still, you know, what's funny is he has almost the same numbers as Austin Hayes. In terms of, like, they have almost the same number of games played. He actually has almost the same number with 19 less at bats. But yeah, it's just weird because Hayes has been just that important to this team. I mean, he has the highest slugging percentage on the team. Austin Wynns and Tyler Stevenson are the only other ones that are there, and Stevenson's played in 3 games so far this year. You know, his OPS is 1100. You know, the next closest everyday player, I'll call him everyday player right now, is Noel B. Marte at 857. So it's tough because it's like they're not doing anything poorly necessarily, but they're also not necessarily, you know, giving us this sort of feeling like they're going to be able to go out and hit with some of the best teams. And like you said, against lefties, you know, I want Gavin Lux to play every day against a righty. If he doesn't play against lefties, that's fine, Joe. But if that's going to be the case, then who are you going to platoon him with, right? Like, you got to make kind of that decision. And we've got a lot of lefties on the team that kind of do things similarly. You know, I mean, like, Fraley, I don't know, I haven't looked if he's hitting lefties well at all. Like, they pretty much seemingly keep him out 100% of the time against lefties. Like, Friedel they keep in, who's been fine, like we already discussed against lefties. Like, he's still serviceable, you can play him. But what are you going to do? I mean, are you going to finally bump Spencer Steer out there, right, and allow Stevenson to play first, so that then you can keep Trevino in a catcher, or like, how is this going to work? And I think luckily we have Tito. I trust that he's going to figure this out. This team is better because of him already. I can tell you that much. I feel very confident in that. I think they are at least 3 or 4 wins better than they would have been if this was David Bell, to be honest with you, Joe. But how he's going to mix this lineup in is going to be important, and it's going to be really interesting. Like you said, thank God we only faced one lefty, at least so far this week. We're not 100% sure with Houston, but
yeah, I think Fraley was 1 for 3 against lefties this year, so very limited exposure. I think he had a walk as well.
Yeah.
So maybe you give him a chance. I don't know. But yeah, I think the power is something that is notable. I think right now, Ellie, I guess Austin Hayes too, are on pace in a 162 game season. Would be 23 home runs. Would be our leader in home runs, which is just not
good.
Typical. We talked about last year. Last year we didn't have average or power. Like, this year we have more average. We need the power to step it up, and that's why we signed Austin Hayes. That's why we thought Ellie, getting a year older and stronger, maybe would get more home runs. But that's I think what could deter us a little bit. Like, we're hitting home runs as a team, and I think that's good. But I do think we need to get more runners on, hit more home runs, knock more runs in, and I think how we structure the lineup is going to be key down the stretch. Because you're right. Like, I don't want Gavin Lux in the lineup against lefties. I don't want Blake Dunn to be playing other than 26-man defensive substitution, pinch runner type guy. I really don't. But you have the pieces, right? Like, Santiago Espinal has only played 26 games this year. Matt McClain was injured for a lot of the season. He's played 26 games. Santiago Espinal is hitting 342 right now. You need to find a way to get him in the lineup every day until other people start hitting. So whether it's putting him in right field against these lefties, or Steer in right field against these lefties, and letting Stevenson play, that's going to be huge for us too, because I do think we had those issues with batters number 6, 7, 8, or 5, 6, 7, 8 for so long. Now we have more reinforcements to hit, even if with Hayes gone, that there are ways you can stack the lineup against lefties and get the guys who are actually hitting playing time, especially with their catchers hitting, especially with Stevenson back, especially with Espinal. I don't think that there's a need to play Blake Dunn or Gavin Lux in those games, and keep them on the bench, and then when they put in a righty, go put him in. It's that simple to me. So I think, again, Terry's trying to figure it out now because the injuries and everything, and it really does stink to have guys who you can't play against a certain, like Gavin Lux, right now you can't play him against lefties. I would love to see if he could develop that, but it's tough, but I think that's part of it. So let's see if we can shake the lineup up now that we have Stevenson back. Let's see if we can get Hayes healthy on Friday, and then maybe lefties becomes a strength, because honestly, if we have Hayes in the lineup, you have Stevenson in the lineup, maybe we can start, making some moves. Maybe Espinal gets some more starts too. Like, that's going to be huge for us in the next couple weeks, I think, is having all these guys healthy to kind of bolster this lineup. But again, it does, as we said, make us scared that maybe it's all contingent on one guy being back too. So see how that goes. And
we got one guy who we're going to talk about now, Spencer Steer. Now, he is only hitting 194 against lefties. Last year he hit 212. He actually hits righties better than lefties, Joe.
Yeah.
Which is so weird to me. Has he ever? Okay, in 2023 he hit 313 against lefties. So he's got to find that again. But this guy is starting to come on. He has really started to figure himself out. In his first 45 at-bats, he had 5 hits, Joe. In his last 61, he has 17 hits. Good for about a 280 average. We expect him to be about a 260 to 280 type hitter for his career. That's what he has been so far. He's walking about once every 2 strikeouts, which is fantastic for him. We want to continue to see that. He's getting on base. His OPS is getting close to 800 for the last 15 games, which has been awesome. What I've really liked seeing for him and what I think's been really nice is that it feels like when he gets a hit, Joe, he's going to get that second hit in a game right now. Yeah, he's having some offers, but it's like almost every game that he gets a hit lately, he's been doubling it up. His batting average was pretty awful. He had gotten down all the way to a 111 was what it was at in Baltimore, an 0 for 4 day. But then it's that Baltimore game, that 24-run game, where everybody kind of just figured it out, it seems like. And he's raised that batting average from 111 to almost 100 points to 206 in basically a 2-week span. So it's been really nice. He seems to be timing the ball a little bit better. I feel like he's figuring it out. He is another important cog in this wheel. If he can be, that 260, 270 batter, that's going to be huge for this Reds team, Joe. So I wanted to give him a little shout out because, Spencer Steer, I think we all hoped would be like our 3-4 hitter. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy, right? I don't think he's ever going to be truly that like 3rd or 4th best hitter on your team. But I think he's got a great opportunity to be a 5th or 6th best hitter and be one of the best 5th or 6th, best hitters in baseball in a lineup, right? And I think that that's really good for you to see. He lengthens your lineup, I think, in a very serious way. He gives you good at-bats. It's very rare that he's grounding out on a first pitch ball. He sees the ball well. He still walks at a pretty good rate. He's played first base, I think, pretty admirably. He had a really good play, was it yesterday or the day before, where he dove and knocked a ball down, I think it was yesterday, and was able to get it to Martinez, like, in perfect stride, easily saving a hit there. So, really, really happy with what I've seen out of him so far, Joe. I think, we were a little worried, and it's funny. It's like every week that you give somebody you call out a guy every week on this podcast, and it's like that next week they start figuring it out. So, talk about him real quick, and then we need you to call somebody else out. So almost.
They either figure it out or they get off the team. So either way, I like that. CES for all those weeks, or whoever. But yeah, he's had 7 hits in his last 5 games. I think he's helped us with the left-handers more lately than his stats overall would indicate. He has 14 hits in the last 2 weeks in 12 games played, which is where he kind of needs to get going towards. So I still want to see him take more walks. He has 10 walks to 25 strikeouts this year for that amount of at-bats that he has. It probably needs to increase a little bit, but I think he's starting to see the ball better. I think the walks will come with that. He's a guy that I think is, needed very clearly. Again, the shoulder injury was clearly bothering him in his swing, and it's starting to come around. I think, mentioned a couple weeks ago, they mentioned that part of it was mental too. You could see it was partially mental too. The way he was in the batter's box was crazy. It just didn't always feel like it was natural, and now he feels like he's feeling more natural at the plate. I'm very happy he has figured it out. He is a key part of this team. If you have him batting 5th or 6th in this lineup, and everyone's hitting and playing to not even their top potential, but even just what what we expect of them, what their baseline should be. Your good point. Yeah, I think that's really good. So glad he turned it on. Glad the power is starting to come back. He has 2 home runs in the last 2 weeks, and obviously only 1 in the first little bit of the season there. So I think he is going to be key. It's going to be interesting to see if we start moving him towards the outfield because Stevenson's back. We want to keep the catchers on the roster, or just kind of move those guys between DH and first base. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks here and see if he can continue to hit this well. If I have to call out someone else, Matt McClain, get your shit together, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, come on.
Crazy. You're hitting what is it, like 165 now? Come on, let's get this thing going. There's some bad luck in there, but also he needs to be seeing the ball better. I think he can we obviously, he's not going to go anywhere like the other guys did when I called him out. But I think it's going to be, that's going to be the key, is like, especially he was batting leadoff, was it yesterday, Rob? And like, if you're going to be batting that high in the order, we need you to start hitting the ball, getting on for Ellie, especially. So let's get it going.
Yeah, I would love to see him get going there. It'd be great. And Spencer Steer, like we said, he lengthens the lineup, and that's huge for good teams. If you can have guys 1 through 7 who are actually good hitters, you're great. You got to remember too, the Reds are almost always batting Trevino at the back end, right? So you've got a solid hitter there at that 9 spot too. It's really been the 5 through 8 hole that we've been having a problem with, Joe. But this lineup is getting stronger every single game right now. And especially against righties right now, dude, this team may be able to hit every righty on the planet, it seems like. It's kind of wild with the way they've been playing. But, even I want to quickly just give flowers to Jose Trevino. He is by far having his best batting season that he has ever had. It's really not even close. I mean, he's batting .303 right now, and he is potentially on pace to break his home run record that he had as an all-star with the 2022 Yankees. So really love seeing that these guys they're finding themselves. And I think that this lineup with Hayes reinserted, Joe, becomes an absolute struggle, I think, for a lot of really good pitchers. If guys like Spencer Steer are hitting, if guys like Noelvi Marte are hitting, it's a sneaky good lineup, is what I'm going to call it. And I think a lot of that hinges on guys like Spencer Steer. So we're going to start getting to a point, Joe, where there are going to be guys who are hitting well, and we don't know where we're going to play them. Like, Matt McClain is actually in danger right now of losing playing time to Santiago Espinal with Tyler Stevenson back. And if he keeps hitting, he is going to play every day. And if he becomes a DH, then that's going to move Spencer Steer to the outfield. Then Gavin Lux, who continues to hit against righties, he's going to start getting playing time. Where are you? I don't really know. I mean, Noelvi Marte has been hitting. Like, we're going to get to the point where we're going to have 10, 11 guys for a 9-man lineup that are all hitting. And how much time do you give Matt McClain at this point, Joe? I don't know, but I agree with you. Get your shit together. All right, let's head on into the Braves, Joe. I was going to say, the Reds are in the cusp real quick. They're still only 3 games back. They're playing well for the most part. They're a game and a half behind Philly. It's going to be tough, though, this year, Joe. I think it's going to come down to 6 or 7 teams. I think we're one of those teams. Or 7 or 8, excuse me. I think we are one of those teams, but they've got to find a way to force themselves over the top of this one. But the Braves, Joe. The Braves are an interesting team. I did a lot of research on them. I've been trying to figure out what is going on with this team. Nothing is working for this team, it feels like. They have had a really, really rough season, in my opinion. They started off, obviously, 0-7. They have kind of found their way back in it. But even over the last couple weeks, yeah, they've played some good teams, but they dropped 2 against the Dodgers, who had been struggling a bit going into that weekend series. They were unable to sweep the Rockies, which basically everybody else is doing. I think they gave the Rockies their 5th or 6th win of the entire season on Wednesday of last week. They were able to take 2 of 3 from the D-backs and the Cardinals, and then they had swept the Twins as well. We are going to be apparently missing Ronald Acuna Jr. He is scheduled to be coming back here near the end of the month, so that is great. But, they're 15-11. They've been playing better baseball. Their pitching necessarily hasn't been that great. Their hitting has not been that great. They are starting to figure it out, like we talked about. But it's really interesting, Joe, because I thought this was going to be one of the best teams in baseball. And they are still sitting under 500 right now. Not too far behind. But the Reds, I guess I'll give this real quick and then we'll jump to you. Singer versus Smith Shawver on Monday. Abbott versus Sale on Tuesday. Hunter Green versus Grant Holmes on Wednesday. And then Lodolo, that's right, it's a 4-game series against Swellenbach. I don't believe that this is the series that we're going to Bristol Speedway to play. I believe that's later in the summer, if I remember correctly. But we do have the Monday Night Baseball game tonight, Joe, on MLB Network. So It will be a 7:15 game, I believe, not your normal 6:40 game tonight for the Reds and the Braves. But what is going on with this team? What are you seeing with them? They still have a solid-ish lineup, but they're getting it from guys you wouldn't expect. Matt Olson's only hitting 222. Michael Harris, 220. Jared Kelenic just got sent back down. He's hitting 167. I wish we would send guys down when they were hitting 167. But, what are you seeing?
I am very impressed with this team's ability to battle back from where they started. As you said, 0-7. They have played a terrible schedule, like a very hard schedule to start the year. Starting at the Padres and at the Dodgers, two of the best teams in the league. That's what got them to 0-7. They also played the Dodgers another time you mentioned. They played the Diamondbacks. They played the Phillies. It's not like our schedule where we've played so many bad teams. So I will give them credit. They are doing, I think, about as what is expected after that 0-7 start. I think they're 15-11 since. They also have some injury issues. You mentioned Ronald Acuna. We're not going to see him. That is a big part of their lineup, especially. Spencer Strider has been in and out. He came back and then he got hurt again. So their pitching has taken a hit. I think this is a very good team. I think their record is lying to you just because of the tough schedule. I think it's very possible that if they didn't have the tough schedule, if they had the red schedule right now, they'd have 20 wins and be above 500. So very dangerous, and that's going to make it a tough series, especially for us on the road, even though we have our home troubles. I think this is one that I think you hope to split the series, and especially on the road, because they do have so much talent, and because they are heating up a little bit, and they're figuring it out. 6-4 in their last 10, again, while playing the Dodgers is pretty good. That's going to be tough when you have the left-hander to start, or left-hander in the series against Sale. That's going to be tough, and then we'll see how the other guys do. Our pitching is going to be key in this one because I know, like you said, Rob, some guys who aren't usually the ones who step up are the ones stepping up right now, but you never want to leave a pitch over the plate to some of these guys who aren't hitting right now, like Matt Olson. So Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Ozzie Albies, Marcell Ozuna, you can keep on going down the line of just how many guys they have. Got Alex Verdugo before the season. We talked about the Reds possibly getting him.
He's been very good for them.
304. Yeah, so would have been nice to have him too. But just, they are a very solid team who I think ran into tough circumstances. Maybe we can take advantage and win 2 or 3, maybe, but I think that's going to be an uphill battle the way we are playing right now. So I'm going to say, Rob, I'll say they win 2, probably lose the game against Chris Sale.
So what's interesting is I was just checking this. So we got 2 lefties going up against them. We got Abbott and Lodolo in this series. This team is pretty bad against lefties overall. They have not hit them very well. Really only Austin Riley has hit lefties well this season. You will have to keep that in mind. This team is a threat for home runs, but it's mostly been Austin Riley. Like, he has really been the driving force. Marcell Ozuna as well, as you talked about. They're getting contributions, I would call it, from guys like Eli White, Alex Verdugo, since he has come up and been a nice little bit for them. What's really been interesting, Joe, is that their pitching has struggled. They're not a bad team, like you said. They are a solid team, without a doubt. They're not the Braves I think that we all thought they would be. I think that's the difference here. Regardless, if you're expected to be a World Series contending team, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers sometime. You're going to have to beat the Padres, right? That's what the expectation is. So yes, they did start off 0-7. You can't fully, push that out there. But I do think that they are a much more beatable team than I would have thought a year ago, right? Chris Sale won the Cy Young last year. He's 1-3 with a 4.84 ERA. Their starting pitchers are giving up almost a home run a game. They're about equal with us in that regard. Guys like Grant Holmes, he's going to walk a lot of guys. We will see that, this weekend. A.J. Smith-Shawver as well is, I think, a very exploitable guy, is the way that I would put it. People are batting .260 against him. Chris Sale, they're batting .285 against him this year, Joe. So regardless of who you're playing, people are still seeing them well. I think their pitching is not as good as they were last year. I think their hitters are starting to figure it out. I'm still going to go 2-2. I wouldn't be surprised 1-3 if this team cannot figure out how to find the will to come back in a game, because I think there's a chance we'll go down with Singer. I think he'll give up a home run in the first 2 innings somewhere, whether or not it's going to be 1 or 3 run home run. That's going to be what I really think decides his start. I think Abbott as well. Luckily, we have Green and Lodolo down the stretch. I'm going to take them both over Grant Holmes and Schmallenbach. So I really think it's going to come down to our starting pitching, and I think it's going to be hitting in the clutch. So I'm going to call 2-2, but I do think that this Reds team could go in there and win 3-1. They played on the road extremely well this year. So I'm going to throw that out there, but we'll go 2-2 for now. Then we have the Astros, Joe. It's going to be Martinez, Singer, and Abbott in this one. This is another team that I think has struggled. They've been a bit of a surprise. They're 17-16 right now. After all those years of winning, you would think that they'd be able to kind of keep it. It's tough. I think that they are showing it is tough to continue to win, regardless of how many prospects you've brought in. They've lost so many guys over the years, with really Jose Altuve being the only one that is kind of stuck around. You've got Yordan Alvarez, who's one of the better hitters in baseball, but he's had a rough season. He's been a little bit unlucky, I would call it as well. He's still not really striking out very much. They went out and got a guy, in Christian Walker, who's hit home runs, but he's not really done a whole lot else, to be honest with you, Joe. This is one of the more healthy teams. In terms of they've only got 11 guys or 12 guys maybe here who've got at bats this season. So, they've been kind of keeping themselves relatively healthy, I would say. They went out and got Brendan Rodgers as well. He's not been doing so hot. Their pitching's been pretty solid. Hunter Brown has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. I don't know if we're going to be facing him, but he's been very good so far this season. Their starting pitching's been surprising at different points as well. Their bullpen's not been terrible, really. Their pitching, I think, is kind of the only thing that's been keeping them afloat at this point. But what are you seeing with them, Joe? How are you feeling as we go up against our old rivals, the Houston Astros?
Yeah, much different team from the World Series teams. They are built on this pitching staff. And you mentioned their position players healthy, but their pitchers not so much, and they're dealing with it pretty well. They have, I think, 6 pitchers who are on IL right now, just going right through it. They're getting Lance McCullers back for his first start in a couple of years. I
forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty incredible that he was able to come back. This is a series that I think that overall they're an average hitting team. Their pitching has been probably above what they expected this year, especially with Brown being so good. And we are expected to face him, of course, because we always get all the good pitchers. But I think this is one that you're going to want to win because the way the hitting is going right now, they don't have many hitters. If we can keep the scores low, if we can avoid some big home runs, they have 7 guys with at least 3 home runs. That'll be huge. And then we have our own offense, which, yes, Brown is a very good pitcher, but he's a righty, and I believe we have the other 2 are righty, like I said with my research earlier, with Blanco and McCullers, and hopefully we can take advantage of Colt McCullers still being a little bit rusty, coming back. Wish him all the best when he's not playing us, but that's what I would say. I think this could be a series that we actually win, even though their pitching is very good. I think overall they're going to end up being an average team in the American League, and we have to win some of these series if we're going to be serious about making the playoffs. So I'll go 2-1. I don't know which one we'll lose. Maybe that start we're going up against Brown might be the one we lose because he's been incredible. And we have Nick Martinez going, who is starting to figure it out a little bit. He's doing a lot better recently. So, but maybe he gets it done. But I'll say that might be the one to watch out for. So I'll say 2-1 in this series, and again, that's the winning week barely. But I wish we'd have 2 winning weeks to pair together.
Yeah, this last week would have been really nice for them to have gone even 4-3 in, I'll be honest. But I'm gonna pick 2-1. There's just something about I wish sometimes that I don't know. I wish that Hunter Green and Lodolo, it's weird. I would like for them to go against these teams like the Astros, like the Nationals more often, because it's I feel like in those games we've got a really, really good chance to win. Right, and it's not that Martinez, Singer, and Abbott are not going to be, I think, really strong against the Astros, honestly, especially against those lineups. But, I think Singer, again, I think he's a guy who's going to give up about 3 runs a game, right? It's luckily we will be getting Austin Hayes back in this series, Joe, or at least we should. All things are indicating that. He already had stated that he felt fine, but the Reds put him on that 10-day DL because they just didn't want, he wasn't 100%, but he felt like he could play. They said no. So I'd have to hope his return, hopefully a healthy, Tyler Stevenson plays this entire week as well. I'm going to pick 2-1 as well. This is another one of those weird weeks, Joe, where they could go 5-2, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could also go 3-4 again, and they're back at 500, and we're sitting there like, man, what is going on? What are we missing out on? So, I don't know. I think that's the hope is what I'll call it. I'll call it the hope. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one, Joe. What do you got? Lead us out of here with your words of wisdom.
Yeah, we got Chase Burns in Double-A. He has now had 2 starts. Just to update everyone on him. He has a 2 ERA. Looking pretty good so far. Yeah. I think this was always the plan, is to kind of fast-track him, start him in Dayton, get him up to Double-A. Probably by the end of the year in Triple-A, ready to come up if we need him, and if we don't, then he gets to help us next year. So just kind of tracking how he's doing, not like he's going to come up and probably help us in the next month or 2, but it could be by the end of the season he could have a role with this team, especially if we need one of those big bullpen arms, Rob. Maybe it ends up being him. He throws fast. That's
something we talked about at the beginning of the season. I remember, could he be that kind of a guy who comes in like what we used to see with guys like Cole Hamels, and Wainwright. That's the other guy I remember coming in and being big for a team. So, guys, we will have to see. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Are you feeling still good about this team? As a reminder, they are still in a pretty good position. I think it's just we're Cincinnati fans, and sometimes it's hard to look at the bright side of things when they have a bad week. So we hope that you guys will join us for next week. But like I said, that'll wrap it up for us on this one, guys. So with that, we'll catch you on the next one.